I just wanted to do a small introduction to all of you present over here. So basically, I am Krishna Chaitanya. I'm a mechanical engineer by profession, and I head the Medical Innovation, Creativity, and Entrepreneurship Lab at Mumbai JJ Hospital. This is a innovation tinkering lab for those who are interested to innovate in the healthcare sector, and we've been running since past 3 years and doing a lot of things at JJ Hospital and beyond JJ Hospital as well. You know, workshops as these like online so that you can engage to a larger crowd. Teaching them skills of design thinking, innovation, entrepreneurship, and opportunities of product design. How to build a product, how to build a user-centric product. Based upon all these things, we've been conducting workshops, seminars, many more things.
Thanks a lot. So, thank you for being a part of this workshop. And we were really looking forward to this event. And this is a collaboration between the Rotaract Club of Medicrew and Mice Labs. So, a bit about Rotaract Club of Medicrew. So, Rotaract is basically the world's largest youth movement, and we are a club for medical students, and we are mainly focusing on community service and development of students academically and professionally. So this is my team. We have Rotractor Vishnu and Rotractor Saili, and I think she'll be joining in. So we have basically organized this event because we realize the importance of medical innovation and entrepreneurship for medical students, and who best to collaborate with than Mice Labs. So a bit about Mice Labs is it is a common platform for engineers and doctors to formulate innovative ideas, strategies, and to process a device. So here, doctors and engineers can actually collaborate and come together for creating medical innovations. And it basically enables healthcare systems to be faster and smarter and reachable to more the public, basically the general masses, and how we can implement innovations focusing on prevention of diseases rather than curing them, and connecting medical points to technology. So, and any innovation progresses to entrepreneurship. So this lab ignites the dormant entrepreneurs of the country and makes them potent in the overall aspects of healthcare. So for this workshop, we'll actually be, putting you all in teams of two engineers and two medicos, and sir has a lot of stuff planned for us. So, so over to you.
Thank you so much, Pranava. Thank you so much for the kind words of encouragement. And today, congratulate each one of you for being a part of this workshop. So let's get started. Everybody's with me. I need a thumbs up from all of you. So I'll be very quickly sharing my screen, and we'll be starting off. So few things before we start off, that this is not going to be a lecture. It's never going to be a lecture. I'm not going to give a boring lecture ki ha ye hai wo hai, these concepts exist and all these things. I'm not going to fantasize you with just concepts, but it's rather more collaborative and more working on concepts together. That is what we are looking forward to in this workshop. It's a highly collaborative and hands-on workshop, right? Yeah, now there are certain challenges that we are all remote, we are all sitting in different places, but still we will try to maintain certain things so that even if we are remote, we'll have collaborations, we'll have activities, hands-on activities and everything. Okay, yeah, with all the prerequisites, papers, sticky notes, scissors, glue, all those things, right? So some crafting is going to be there, but it's not just blindly crafting. We'll be planning things and then making stuff over there. Okay. So yeah, and keep yourself hydrated because you'll be looking at screens continuously. So before starting off, so we start off with this design thinking, a human-centric approach. That's the process, the framework. What exactly is design thinking, and how is it going to be helpful for all of us? What are its aspects, and how to understand all these steps? So let's get started. And yes, introduction to design thinking. So first of all, there are three aspects in any kind of an innovation that is developed. It is technology, it is viability, and it's desirability. Now, when these three aspects come together, it is always there's a sweet spot that comes together. And it innovation, when we talk about any kind of an innovation, it is not just about what kind of a technology it exists, right? For example, Apple uses a fingerprint sensor for unlocking phones. Now, the point is not about technology there, that using a fingerprint sensor. It's about how are you making the user convenient to open the phone, right? Unlock the phone. It comes of viability also. Viability is how feasible is to insert an fingerprint sensor in an iPhone, right? Or in your phones. And desirability, whether the customers or whether your users, your people, whom you're intending the phone to make for, are they really wanting these kind of things? Are these features really needed, right? So it is not only of these things, it's a culmination of these three things. And when these three things come together, the that is basically what innovation works upon. But we understand this particular process, we understand these kind of terminologies and aspects to innovation, but how, what is the how do we exactly approach towards innovation, and what exactly is the way that we can move ahead and process ahead? That is exactly today's workshop entirely focused upon. Till now, we know the importance of innovation, we know why innovation is required, but now we are going to see how innovation can be actually put into practice. What are the steps? How do I start with my idea? All these kind of questions will be answered through this thing. So, okay, icebreakers. Pranava, on to you.
Hello, everyone. So, I think to work together, we need to know each other a bit. So, I'd like everyone to introduce themselves with a small introduction. It will be your name, your college, your course, whether it's medical or engineering, your favorite techno movie, and if there was one disease or disorder which you would like to cure through medical innovation, which would it be? And the
COVID 19.
craziest innovation idea which y'all have had. Like it could be a brain transplant or whatever. So we'd start with.
In the disease, I guess everybody will be like, let this COVID 19 go away. We want to get back to our lives.
I'm sorry, sir. So
Yeah.
why don't we start with Vishnu? Vishnu is a part of our team.
Yeah, hi Pranava.
Hi.
Yeah.
So
Sorry,
you're
actually, you are not audible. My network issues are there. So.
okay. So, Vishnu, your name, your college, your course, your favorite techno movie, the one disease you could cure, and the weirdest and craziest medical innovation idea which you have had.
Actually, I'm Vishnu. So I'm basically from Ravi Nair Physiotherapy College. I'm doing my final year physiotherapy, and it's near Nagpur. So I don't know what to say.
Your favorite movie, techno
Okay,
movie.
so favorite movie is like I don't like movies, but I like I like sorry not webinar Netflix series. So it is known as How to Get Away with Murder. So it's a very thriller one. So yeah.
The one disease you could cure through medical innovation.
Okay, so basically we are working on hand dynamometer, which is for a wrist injury patients and fracture of the wrist patients. So basically, we are also working on artificial intelligence. By using them, we can treat a patient by the physical therapy. So yeah, I'll probably work on orthopedic aspects of physical therapy. Yeah.
Okay, great. So next we have Akash Sethi.
Hi, I'm Akash. I'm a final year MBBS at Government Medical College, Baroda. And I like to say that I thought the workshop starts at 11, so I barely made it today. My favorite technology movie, I've been caught off guard, but the first thing that comes to my mind is I Robot by starring Will Smith, where basically it's the robot taking over the world, which is basically every foreign movie plot. The disease, there is no one particular disease I would like to cure, but if but yeah, like Krishnan sir say, maybe it's coronavirus, but otherwise I would like to at least reduce the burden of the diseases which are the most in India, for example the infectious diseases as of now. And the craziest innovation idea I had back in August 2018 when I was attending a conference in medical innovation only. So they were talking about this virtual reality and augmented reality. So I had the idea that we can use virtual reality to cure pain, or to at least distract the patient till the surgery is going on, or to reduce the post and the surgical anxiety. So that has been my craziest innovation idea, and I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Akash. We have Aditya.
Hi everyone, I'm Aditya Vaidya from State GS Medical College in KM Hospital, Mumbai, final year MBBS. And I guess my favorite technology series has been Black Mirror on Netflix. I mean, just the way it shows the repercussions of technology that can have on people. Like, each it's kind of an anthology series, and each episode in the series is like, shows the various dystopian effects of technology it has. And I mean, the way it struck me, the way it hit me, it's so deep and so profound. The impact the technology has, like episodes like Nosedive or Archangel. When you see those episodes, it's like it gives you the goosebumps. And I really felt that, if I could create anything remotely like this, I would feel that my life has been very successful. And I mean, the craziest like technology development idea that I have had is like, only if I could bring back people from the dead. If we could somehow just change the entire machinery, the entire circuitry in the human body and replace it, and perhaps we could just bring back the dead people. I think that's like the crazy. I know that's impossible, but yeah, that's what makes it so crazy.
That's great. Akshata.
Uh, Hi everyone. I'm sorry my camera is not working today, so I'll just like briefly introduce myself. I'm Akshata from I'm a second year's medical student at DY Patil Medical College. Uh, my favorite tech movie, it's not a tech movie per se, but I think it would be Inception, which basically focuses on the idea that illusion, it basically like describes illusion and reality, how somebody can implant a particular idea which another person can do. And the thing that I would like to not a disease per se, but I'd like to reduce the amount of, since our healthcare system is so overburdened right now, I'd like to reduce the amount of pressure our healthcare facilities have, maybe through some sort of a software or an app which basically facilitates patient care by, directing them to particular hospitals or particular services which are much more available and freer. And yeah, that's about it. It's really great to be here.
Sorry. Thank you, Akshata. Anvesha.
Hello, I'm Andesha Acharya. I'm in third minor in BJ Government Medical College and Sassoon General Hospital, Pune. So, my favorite sci-fi movie, you've got me a little off guard. So, I think the most recent one that I liked was Tenet. I think the whole idea of tinkering with time and especially with the bullets and everything, I thought that was really cool. And if there's a disease I would like to cure, um, I think it isn't like it's not that easy, but something like the neurodegenerative disorders, things like Alzheimer's. It's just something that interests me a lot. And if we could work along that and figure out what exactly goes on in the brain and find a solution to that, I think that would be amazing. And the craziest idea I've had, yeah, this is pretty much impossible, but I kind of wish there was like this one pill that would solve all of our medical conditions. I know it isn't really possible, but that was the craziest idea I once had. Yeah, so that's about it.
Thank you, Anvesha. Apurva?
Yeah, hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Apurva Gosavi, and I'm currently studying in second year at MIT School of Bioengineering Sciences and Research. Um and my favorite technology movie, again, I'm not much into movies and series, but I liked The Imitation Game. I inspired a lot from that. And the diseases which I would like to cure will be, not, I cannot name a single disease, but the segments or sections that I could work on is the genetic disorders and behavioral genetics disorders. So that would again, that would include schizophrenia and etc. diseases. Um, I haven't had any specific idea, the fascinating idea regarding curing a disease. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Arpita Goyal?
Hi, my name is Alpita Goel, and my the college that I've graduated from is Dr. D.Y. Patil. The It's MBBS course, and the technology movie that I really like is Black Panther, since it had all the solutions related to healthcare and any problems that we really wanted to solve. There was every solution in that movie. And the disease that I would like to cure is diabetes, since it's very common, and there has been no cure for that, and researchers have been going on. And the innovative idea that I would really like to have being solved is to is like in pandemic, there have been a lot of CT scans requirements. So if and it's quite expensive, so I want a test that would be affordable and accessible to all the people, and we would be able to solve that problem even in the pandemic, and the people don't have to go in the hospital, and they can have tests in the home, and they can know what exactly problem they have. So yeah.
Thank you. Next, we have Chirag.
Hi everyone. Firstly, I hope everybody is doing well and staying safe. I'm Chirag Chawla. I'm a second year MBBS student. Should have been third MBBS, but our university has held back for 6 months now. I'm studying at Government Medical College, Miraj. Coming to the techno movies, two people have already taken the names. Tenet, firstly, because time really fascinates me, and it's the concept of time and space. It's really very amazing, and working something on that would really be great. Coming to a disease was like cancer, one of the major leading causes of death across the world. And if we see from therapeutic point of view, or the diagnosis, we're not at par as like what we could have been. But recently I came across an article that somebody has come up with a biomarker or a test. I didn't really completely go through it, for early detection of cancer, and that was really amazing. And there, I think they've applied for approval, if I'm not wrong. So that is great. Coming to an innovation, I am actually working on few ideas, and one of them is another big issue we'll be facing in the few years is antimicrobial resistance. And most of our healthcare is based on, like, we use antimicrobial agents rampantly in most of our cases. So this is a very looming threat in the near future. So something of AI based surveillance to increase the knowledge of resistance in across the world, to understand the prevalence, and working using that data to prescribe, I'd say, or modifying your therapies. So that is something I have had in mind. Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Thank you, Chirag. That was really wonderful. Devi Krishna. Yeah, you.
Yeah, so hi everyone. I'm Devi Krishna. I'm a second year bioengineering student from MIT School of Bioengineering Science and Research, part of MIT ADT University in Pune. So my favorite techno movies, I can't say I'm not much into movies, I'm very much into movies, but I haven't been watching a lot of sci-fi movies recently. So the one movie which I watched a couple of years back was The Island. Okay, so that's a movie. I don't know if you've watched it. It's about an army of human clones who did not know they were clones, and they were illegally made by people, who had terminal diseases or something like that of sort. That that movie that I think that movie can be a reality as of now, because all of the places, especially, like, I don't want to be biased, there are some countries who do not really tell about their technological advancements. So that can be a reality. So that movie is one of my favorites, and another favorite is The Theory of Everything, because I absolutely adore Stephen Hawking and all of his endeavors. So medical innovation. So I've been working on a few ideas, and I've been with incubation forums. So the most relevant, the most idea which I have is about radiology, particularly how to detect MRI artifacts in MRI imaging, which I feel is a very very relevant topic nowadays, because it really, with increasing imaging requests. For example, now CT scans and other scans are of high demand, right? So this concept of MRI artifacts and other artifacts are being a huge hassle these days. So if you can use deep learning algorithms to actually detect and resolve MRI artifacts at that particular time, that would be one good idea. Second, and the one which is very close to my heart, is about autism. Autism and other behavioral problems. If we can use some sort of an app which can, help children to, early detection of autism, and how you can reduce it through therapy, right from your early childhood, through apps, that would be a very nice innovation. Thank you.
Thank you, Devi. So we'll have one more participant, and then we'll move ahead, and then maybe we can come back to the introductions. So, Dinesh.
I'm Dinesh. I just finished my final year MBS. So I don't know if I should call myself a student or a doctor. I'm waiting for my results. And I'm from Hyderabad. And I don't watch like sci-fi movies, but I love this cartoon called Phineas and Ferb as a child. No, this cartoon was so amazing. Like they used to come up with one innovation each episode, and it was like I always wish I could do something of that kind. And if you talk of movies, then I watched this. I'm a South Indian, so I love this movie called Robo. Like it was a human. He built a humanoid robot, and I always wish I had one which looked similar to me, so that he could write my exams and I could have fun somewhere else. And my crazy innovation idea is I always wanted to get reduced the size of micron, so that I could get injected into the veins. I could travel all the way from the veins to the heart, and I could just wander around in the whole body, like to see how things work in real. I know that's not possible. And speaking of some possible innovations, maybe I wanted to work on Parkinson's disease. That's it.
Thank you, Dinesh. So, should we go ahead?
Yes, thank you so much. Actually, we would love to hear all of you, each one of you, but since lack of time, right now, I don't want the session to be also missed, so that you also learn about the session. And definitely, we'll have some slots, especially the breaks and all. We can have it for networking, and because you always will be in teams together, also, so you'll be talking to each other. So we can get into that. Yeah, I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So why are we here? I think that's the important question that comes in, right? Why are we here? Why are we in this cohort today? So basically, of course, people might say design thinking workshop, but yeah. So what exactly in design thinking? To understand, implement the process of solving the problems. What kind of uh, how to approach to a problem when we see a problem. What kind of the ways are we should look towards it. We also are here to change our perspectives, because many times we have preconceived notions on solving things in such a way. But let us look at ways of how to adapt to different methods and become very resilient towards adapting towards new and new stuff. And that is what exactly design thinking demands. You need to be agile over there. Um, there's something known as the bystander effect, which I'll be talking about in the subsequent slides. What exactly is the bystander effect? And we would like to stop that particular thing. We want to change our perspective. We want to change our thinking process, right? See, we can't always change problems. We can't even change solutions. If we can change our thinking, probably we can change our solutions. We can. So the problems will automatically start working out. So I don't fix problems, but I actually fix my thinking, and then problems solve automatically. And then also, other than that, we want to learn how to build user centric or patient centric products, or any product that can solve the problem and bridge the gap between hospital, or doctor patient, and caretaker patient, and all those gaps can be bridged. And many times we get a lot of myths on innovation, so to bust those myths, we are here. Okay, just setting our expectations right. I guess you can already read them on the slide. We are here to change our mindset. We are not here to just explore, watch, and we are here to learn. We believe in enabling change. We're not bystanders. Again, I'll talk about what is exactly bystanders means. But we are trying to make change over here. We will take small steps and actions to change. We won't just allow wrong things to just happen just for the sake. It's just happening and we're just watching things to happen. We'll improve our observations. Design thinking demands observation skills to a high goal. We would like to we just want research, and we would actually get research in such a way so that we get actionable insights. We will improve. We'll act on the three kind of principles that is based on humanity, that is compassion, empathy, and integrity. These three principles actually brings in a lot of things towards design thinking. Philosophically, it brings very close. We'll not act insensitively towards the problem. We'll respond to a problem. We'll not react to a problem. I hope you understand the difference between responding and reacting. We believe in consistency and grit. Many times we are fantasized by a problem, and for a very limited amount of time. After a few months, if you ask, no, we don't have time, we can't work. Things like that comes in. But if you have grit, consistency, grit is a term which is used if you're not, even if you don't have a favorable atmosphere, even if you don't have support to you, you still work upon the problem. That is grit, right? You still take things ahead, and whatever you start, you won't leave it in midway, right? That's our expectations today, and that's our mindset. We are just setting it things. What are you going to expect from this workshop? Your design is not a process but a philosophy. You learn that entire thing. It's not just a process. Mindset, you'll be changing your mindset, because problem solving requires not a lateral, it doesn't require one way of thinking. It requires lateral ways of thinking. You need to go different ways. You need to think on different levels, and that is what you'll be learning to. Learning research methodology, yes, you'll be understanding what are the ways of how to conduct ethnic research, and ways to conduct innovative research in such a way that you get actionable insights as well. You'll also learn how to synthesize your research. Many times research, big articles, papers, papers are published, but how to actually synthesize that to something which can be done to a concrete level, that is synthesizing. How to generate actionable insights through those research, synthesized research. And bridging gaps between consumer and developer. Here in the case, it's doctor, patient, and and also empathy with your users, and different kinds of ideation strategies, different terminologies. We'll be covering it in the sessions. You'll understand that. Okay, bystander effect. So uh, some places it is common, like especially in the western countries, or maybe some parts of India. But India mein agar kuch ho jata hai na, so like if on a road suddenly there's an accident, then the two cars or two auto drivers are fighting with each other, and you'll always see there's a huge crowd around it, right? कोई कुछ जाके करेगा नहीं उधर, बट झगड़ा चल रहा देखेंगे सब लोग उधर. That's exactly the bystander effect. And things will happen. Things are just happening for the sake of happening. But people are just like, yeah, others will help anyways. हम लोग को क्या करना है? हो रहा है. But people will be gathered around to see as if it's a drama or something together going on. Something which will never help innovation, something which will never help, the design thinking process, something which is against the killer of design thinking process. Because here, people are change makers, believe in change making, and the bystander effect never works over here. So we are here to stop this. And the only thing that is constant is change. Um, Ironic statement, but a very fact, right? The constant thing is only change, and yes, change keeps coming in different ways. Our lives have changed since past 2 years now, since this COVID-19 has come. Since March 2020, we never knew that we had to sit at home and you can't walk around freely without a mask, you can't meet your friends, you can't shake hands, you can't hug them. All those things are not there right now. You just have to meet people from a far distance. Anybody walks through around, you're just afraid. Somebody suddenly gives a cough, we are like, oh my god, what is this? Some kind of a virus, anything can enter. We need to be very careful. We'll be like masking ourselves and sanitizing every 20 minutes, washing our hands. The kind of fear that we've brought in, right? Life has changed so much since past 2 years. And yes, corona has proved everything around us is temporary. We used to go to malls, gyms, movies. uh, Now I don't think so all these things happen. Everybody watches movies on Netflix or Amazon Prime at their own homes, at the safety at their homes. But yeah, it's we are learning to live these ways. And uh, the main thing is that the final safety is with your family and you stay with at home. Basically, to say that the world over here we are staying is not a safe place, and it's not a safe place just for us but also for the future generations to come. Therefore, we need to take some way to actually change it. Now, it doesn't happen from an organization level, it happens from the individual level. Individuals start taking measures to change, things will automatically start changing on the higher ends, right? Yeah. So in design thinking, many times we always see, whenever we are making something, we always see things from a uh, you know from our perspective. We always see, okay, I have made this laptop or I have made this phone, so I like it. But we fail to see what exactly is happening on the other side, and that's exactly user interface and user experience. User interfaces, you make a very nice interface for the user to interact with, but you need to also understand what exactly is the user going, what exactly is the user see, what am I seeing and what is the user seeing, where is the difference, and what are the things that is happening, right? In this picture also you can see that the mother and father of the baby have put that the tiger, elephant, and all those things moving around and round and round. So they like to see things moving around, but look at from the baby's perspective, it's totally different. Okay, activity time. I would request my colleague Abhishai to enable breakout rooms. The activity question is, I request each one of you to bring your notepads and pens together. The question is, what bothers you, right? You will be sent into breakout rooms. We'll be giving you 5 to 10 minutes time. You'll have to discuss exactly what bothers you and write them down, and then we'll come back to discuss it again. Okay, so we'll quickly go through two people from two different breakout rooms, probably. So, and then we'll again quickly get onto the this thing, onto the design thinking basics. Okay, so maybe I'll request maybe one medical student and one engineering student to speak about it. Let's hear things from two different perspectives. Okay, Chirag, would you like to say something from the medical side? What bothers you?
Yes. So I even brought this up in my breakout session, is the gap that we have in our curriculum, which really holds us back from, doing such kind of things, innovative things. And we're really just, we are bound to the curriculum. And it's not just in our graduation years, but even in our primary and secondary education. Even though there are changes in our policies, there is a revamp in our primary secondary education according to the new education policy, even in our medical curriculum. But then once these policies are into place, the where we lack is implementation. To actually implement it for the purpose it is intended, and not make it feel as a burden to the students, which is right now the scenario for at least in the medical curriculum. My juniors, the new curriculum is sort of a burden rather than helping them grow or think more, and for the purpose it is intended.
Exactly. Nice point. Thank you so much, Chirag. Uh, Ishita, you're a medical student or from engineering?
I'm a medical student.
Okay, so maybe you can speak, and then we'll have one more engineer to speak.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, one of the major problems we mentioned in our breakout session is that even though we do innovate, it's highly that these innovations will actually reach all sectors of the population. It's very inaccessible. So like that's an issue in terms of
Distribution and supply chain is.
Engineers are shy. There was a kind of awkward silence out there. But I am an intermediary person out here, a biomedical engineer. So what we actually discussed was like that even though we have a lot of we have devices out there, but then we are into like a medical web where we suck out the patients financially and let's say mentally. Even though we have solutions, we are there to make profits. So reducing the profits and let's say reducing the profits and making the supply chain to each and every person who's actually needing it. This is what bothered me and my teammates. So we were on a parallel track.
Great.
Thank you.
So you were in the same room as Ishita?
No, I had Akshata and Arpit.
Okay, great. Sure. So amazing insights. I guess you can still keep continuing with.
No, just to add on to the point right now, Yash said.
Yeah.
So, we are also kind of in an environment where we actually don't give the priority to the end users, that is the patients. And so the devices that we make, they are not in concern with the end users. And like mostly then there is kind of a human centric behavior. फिर doctors क्या करेंगे, फिर laboratorians क्या करेंगे, technicians क्या करेंगे. So I think that is kind of bothering me since a long time.
Nice. I think that's like once you give it to the you make an innovation, but you're giving it to the person. How are they going to use it and how it's going to be implemented? I think that's something that's bothering you.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Gauri here. I would like to add a point to this that when we consider development, sustainability is not taken into account when innovation is brought up. So, like, we need to work on things which are like biodegradable, things which are renewable. We need to focus on those areas. In the end, a lot of things which are made, like the devices, like most of the parts are thrown out and discarded, and they cause like a lot of pollution, like biohazard waste management and all of that is not taken into account when we look at development in general. So that is what bothers me, and we should focus on this area and try to bring up solutions which are more in tune with the nature and are more eco-friendly sort of.
Great. Nice points. So we'll continue with our presentation and then we'll take more points whenever we have more time. So yes, getting back activity. So yes, now what's design thinking? Let's understand that aspects of design thinking more in detail. So, okay, I guess everybody over here either have visited or at least seen what exactly an MRI room looks like, right? So on the left side image is what we look in a day-to-day basis, and an MRI room, very closed, packed spaces, because of course you need to give safety for the entire device because it's running on magnetic resonance, and based upon that it's imaging. So MRIs or CTs, it needs to be in a closed room, in a contained room. And many times children or even the adults who go there, it's kind of very quiet. The AC is on, things are very cold over there, cold and quiet. And it sounds it. So when you enter the room also you feel, okay, I have some disease in me or something in me that through for which this MRI scan needs to be done. Patients are quite in a situation, in the mental, their mental health is really not well that time. They're quite in a worried kind of a situation in that particular area. So even especially dealing towards children, when children, in different types of pediatric cancers, and even all the younger children, having these kind of cancers, when they need to be scanned for different tests, when they take into these rooms, it appears very much cold and quiet, and many times they are not really comfortable in sitting in such an area. But in such areas, children are generally like, they're very scared. So what one hospital did is they did a research about these things, and they said, okay, let's do the same thing, let's place the MRI machine, and let's change the ambience of the room. So they actually put in, cartoonic stuff and things like that. One of the hospitals also did something like, they made an entire space setup, the ambience in such a way. So they actually say that, now you're sitting on a spaceship, and you're going to enter the, the black hole, things like that. So they basically would tell them stories and get them through that. What actually helped them is, now there is statistical data behind this, I have not put that kind of a thing, but there's a lot of research and data that has proven that uh, children were much cooperative, they were happy, and the kind of thing. So now if you see MRI machine, to wahi hai, like, you might be telling, sir, what are you saying, just diwar change kar diya to log. It actually made an impact on the patients, and hospitals were started to, they were the patients were happy. Ultimately, what even matters for hospitals or businessmen is customer delight. Are your customers happy using your service or not, right? So over here, this is what it was made, and it also affected directly towards the medical process, because children were cooperative, the process entirely went smoother, right? So the entire scanning process went smooth, the patients were cooperative, they were happy, everything went smooth. Now what you understand is basically the device of the MRI is the same thing, but you change the user's experience over there because of that room. That's exactly what design thinking can help. Now I'll be showing you uh, so what exactly is design thinking, the exact definition. Again, what I told, desirability, viability, feasibility, the technology aspects, the culmination of them together, that particular aspect is design thinking. It's a process to solve, and it's a process to solve problems. If any problem, it can be any kind of a problem. uh, Apply it to different areas, automobile, healthcare, space tech, different areas. You apply it, it can apply. It's just a tool, you can use it anywhere. It's human centric, the property of design thinking, it's human centric, because ultimately when you're making something, you're making it for somebody, right? And that somebody is your user, right? Your, in healthcare sectors, talking about healthcare sector, it's your patients. So you're making it for somebody, and it encourages organizations to focus on the people they are creating for. As I said, it's human centered. So it's combination of psychology, it's combination of engineering, design, medicine, and different the aspects of this thing. Of course finances also come into a part, but yes, design thinking uh, brings in a culmination of all these things together. And yes, it can change products, it can change services, it can change internal processes, right? A lot of examples we can see. So during the COVID times, we saw a lot of shortage of the ventilators. Now we can see a shortage of oxygen concentrators, oxygen cylinders, right? Of course, even remdesivir drugs, a lot of shortage we are seeing. So this is something which was very clever. Understanding the tech of ventilators, you need to maximize the way so that you can admit lot more patients. And of course it should be fulfilling and satisfying, because the need of oxygen or need of air passing through the ventilators. So what they did is they basically did a splitter, right? So a splitter basically multiplies the air distribution to all different channels. So you can have on a single ventilator, you can admit many patients on together. So you're maximizing the use. Then of course phones are coming. Phones right now are like very kind of fragile. थोड़ा सा भी गिर जाता है तो या तो डिस्प्ले खराब हो जाता है या तो टच चला जाता है, things like that. But MI is coming up with this concept of a foldable phone, which is like like almost like paper and little softer, and it will be more resistant. And आप एक बड़ा सा screen में you can fold it more compact. You can have a big screen, but even also compacting it together. We have again, Gauri was talking about sustainability, so there's a small innovation that you can actually do. If you see your water closets in your homes, right? What if you actually insert the wash basin on top of it, and the wash basin's wastewater is the flush tank's water? So basically you're recycling the water anyways in the flush tank. It's not necessary that you need to pump in fresh water. And wash basin का पानी जो भी जा रहा है, it is going waste, right? Many times हम brush करते time पे भी नल खुला छोड़ देते हैं, so water keeps wasting like that. But if we collect those water and use it for flushing, I think that's what you can actually, it's a smart way of looking about it. Then we also have bike ambulances. This is something which is being practically implemented even in India. uh, हम लोग का स्विगी जोमेटो ऑर्डर्स, डोमिनोज का ऑर्डर्स 30 मिनट्स के अंदर आ जाता है, बट एम्बुलेंस मेनी टाइम्स टेक्स अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम. So the same technology applied, bike को ही एक ambulance लगा दो, so you can beat through the traffic and get the patients done, right? And even smart bands, this is something which is very becoming active in the West and in the private hospitals. Will take time for the government hospitals to upgrade to these things. Patients have smart bands for, they have a QR code to scan. There are RFID tags through which, agar patient is running out of the hospital or something like that, you can immediately get an alert and notification the patient is not there in their respected place. Even in pediatric and gynac wards, many mothers and babies, so कई बार ऐसा गलत mother के गलत babies आ गए mother के पास, because a lot of babies are there, a lot of confusion. So keeping that kind of a data tracking, the bands can be actually related to the baby and the mother. So many things you can actually apply, understanding the problems and solving them, right? Now getting on to the next thing. So I'll be showing you 3 videos, and then after this we'll be taking a small break, and then we'll be coming back to see what kind of the processes are there and why exactly is design thinking so important. I've already seen that video. It was a very viral video on social media. If anyways, if you're not seen, you can find it on YouTube. I can send the link to you guys on the group. Okay, so we'll move ahead. So yes, I guess till now we already have answers to this question: why do we need design thinking? And we saw the basics. It's a problem solving method, human centric. It is the process involves keeping the user focus more towards a picture. The picture of the user is more important over here, not your own picture. You give out yourself, you give out your assumptions, and you work more upon that. And it's a problem solving process, not just for products, but it's also for processes and services and even organization. Managerially, they want to change things, they actually apply design thinking as a formula. And why do we need this? Of course, the first thing is to enable change, because if you want to bring in change, we can't just directly get into a change. It needs to be a properly researched and well quantified, well with a proper thesis, not just a hypothesis, with a proper thesis, research, and based upon that, evidence based, we change things. So if we want to bring in change, we need to have evidence for it to show its results. And design thinking as a process itself has shown results, and if we can apply those things to change things in our services, organizations, and products, design thinking is for it. We need it. It helps us to become more human centric. You need to solve the human concrete problem. So if somebody says they have a problem of the house is not proper, you don't actually build a high rise apartment, you actually build a proper house for that person. So understanding the need of the human and then building it according to that. You also tackle the problem, you understand the need, you tackle the problem, and of course you learn more innovative solutions. You don't just be fixed towards only one solution or one answer for things. You try to apply creativity and bring in a lot of concepts together from different areas. And yes, all these things makes your organization run smoother, faster, especially if hospitals can adapt to these design thinking processes, you can make your patient experience much more better and much. So it's basically even looking for tackling a huge patient to doctor ratio. Hospitals, if they adapt design thinking, it can be like changing the hospital's entire healthcare scenario into a different system itself. So again, I'll be showing you. I guess I'll skip this video as well. I I'll take it maybe again once we have a little more time, and maybe let's get into the process. Okay, fine. We understood that design thinking is the need of the hour. Design thinking is really required. Design thinking has to be done. It's important. It's human centric. It will help us change the organizational goals, and it will help us to build them better. What's the process? How do I start applying design thinking? What exactly is the process that I need to follow, right? So this is the 5-step formula that has been coined by IDEO. IDEO is international design thinking, world reputed organization. It has experts from Stanford and Cambridge as well. Different experts from different fields came together and formed this organization known as IDEO. Many of the things that we use in daily day-to-day life have been designed by IDEO and has come through IDEO's this thing as well. So this is the entire framework that IDEO has designed, and it is of course internationally accepted. There are multiple frameworks or multiple ways, but the principle of the design thinking process remains same. The first is empathy, putting yourself in the shoes of your users or your customers. Define the actual problem statement. Ideate, bring in different ideas, bring in multiple ideas. Prototype, make a small model or a mock-up of that and then see how it works, how the user interacts, find out some problems, test it, give it to the user, ask him to use it and see whether it works or not. In medical sense, it's called clinical trials. In a design thinking sense, we just test the prototype and we get feedback from from the prototype, and then we'll be repeating the process again so that we make improvements. So this is one framework. This is the linear framework of design thinking. Stanford University, internationally world reputed university, Stanford has its own bio design program. It has made something very specific for medical technologies as well. It is called the 3I formula: identify, invent, and implement. Identify के अंदर आता है needs finding, needs screening, concept generation, concept screening, strategy development, and business planning. If you see, ultimately it's the same thing. The 5-step: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test. All those 5 aspects are covered on a principle level. The terms have been changed, focuses have been changed to a different aspect. Stanford University biodesign follows this. IBM, one more software software and hardware integration company, uses something known as an infinite loop design thinking framework, but an infinite loop, right? So they also follow the 5-step process, but it's not a linear process. It no more remains a linear process. Like step 1 empathize, step 2 define, step 3 ideate nahi rehta hai. You empathize, you do the entire cycle, but when you see there is a change, so for example prototyping mein agar koi gadbad aa rahi hai, so again you jump to your empathy stage, you jump to your ideate stage, and then see what kind of problems are happening, change there, and then jump back to prototyping. So this is the kind of infinite loop that you can actually jump in from the first to last and all in between as well, right? So it's never a linear process. It's more of a loop, a complete infinite loop. This is what IBM follows. Of course, Google follows this process, the linear process. It follows it runs various kind of design sprints over a week basis. Like Monday they start with something, Saturday they're supposed to test it out, and that's how they run. Google runs on this kind of a framework. IBM runs on this. Stanford Biodesign works on this. Multiple frameworks are there. So now we'll actually start with our problem statement, and we'll actually start solving this particular problem, right? I hope I can request each one of you. So this is common for all. I request each one of you to make a note of this problem statement which I'm giving. Maintenance of oral hygiene through ventilator mask. Very relevant to current time. And now we'll be solving this through all the 5 stages of design thinking. So are you all ready with me? Unmute
Yeah.
yourself and respond.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So everybody please make a note of this problem statement. Maintenance of oral hygiene through ventilator mask. Okay. I hope that the problem statement is very clear to each one of you. Now let's get started with the design thinking process. The first step is empathy. Empathize with your users, right? I'll just talk few principles about it and then we'll actually give you time to discuss about the entire thing. Pranava, are you ready with the groups, the teams you have allocated for?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I think this is a very common English terminology, empathy, empathize, right? So you basically put yourself in that particular situation and you try to see. So empathy is never done in a direct process. There are 3 steps basically you need to go about it. I'll just speak little about empathy. Empathy is combining user experience, a good user experience. These are the 2 ingredients for design thinking basically, and empathy is the root of entire thing. When we say our products or our solution is for the user, when we are saying design thinking is a process for solving the problem to the user and it is a user centric problem, the first and foremost important thing is empathy. Because if you don't involve your users, what are you building for and whom are you building for? That's very unclear. Therefore empathy is the first thing, that you identify a problem, you see that this is a problem statement, problem area, understand who are the people who are facing this problem and understand the perspective from their side, not from your side, right? Because we have fixed assumptions, but understand the person who's actually facing the problem, and that is what exactly empathy allows you to put yourself in their shoes. गुड डिजाइन के लिए इट्स अ वेरी एसेंशियल इंग्रेडिएंट एम्पैथी. कोई भी अच्छा डिजाइन बना रहे हो आप अपने हिसाब से नहीं बना रहे हो, यू आर मेकिंग इट फॉर द यूजर, and that's a very valuable ingredient for empathy. It's the capacity to understand or feel what the other person is experiencing in their frame of reference, not in from your point of view, right? And it is the foundation of human centric design, as I mentioned before. Now, there many times we confuse with these 2 terms, empathy and sympathy. The thing is, in empathy, you actually understand, you feel the pain of what the user is going through. Sympathy is like, yeah, I understand that you're undergoing through pain, and it's just acknowledgement of that pain, right? I acknowledge that you are having pain, but you don't actually understand what the user is going through, right? You don't understand what the patient or the caretaker is going through, and that's the difference that draws between empathy and sympathy. I'm sorry that you're in pain, but empathy is I feel your pain, I can understand that. Empathy is experiencing the feelings of others. You also might have some similar experiences, and it's much bonded with emotions. Whereas sympathy is recognition, as I mentioned, I recognize or I acknowledge your need, I acknowledge the suffering, I acknowledge your problem, and you may be looking for other people's problems, and other people might have faced that problem. You might just acknowledge and understand that, but you don't experience it. Empathy is experiencing that. So how should we empathize with people? What are the steps that will help me do that, right? So as I mentioned, there's a 3-step process for empathy as well. Design thinking ka first step is empathy, and empathy ke andar bhi 3 processes hai. Very simple processes: engage, observe, immerse, right? Now engage in a conversation, and first understand the user's point of view. What are they speaking? Start a conversation with them. Never directly jump open. Start a conversation. Say, hey, I'm coming from this and this field, I'm talking to you regarding this kind of, I'm working on this project, I'm working on this problem statement, and I would like to know your insights, right? uh, Observe. You can't simply judge based on sitting in a room and without knowing the situation, what's happening there. Observe the user, what is happening in the environment over there. Immerse yourself, go and you also try to see, put yourself in that environment and see how it actually feels, right? So, uh, these three steps will be basically helping you through the entire thing, empathy process. I hope you can make these notes, important notes on your notepads, as I mentioned yesterday, so that will help you remember while interviewing. Uh, I'll be explaining on how we'll be doing it on an online mode also. We'll be sending you to breakout rooms again, and there we basically you'll be doing it. So, as I mentioned, engage is basically where you actually interview your person, right? Interview your this thing. So in engage also there are 4 points to remember. There are 4 techniques you need to understand while interviewing. Just don't go and directly start, I'm working on this problem and I want you to tell me what is the best solution. That's the very wrong way of going about it. Make some warming up of the conversation. Try to give the user, or the person you're talking to, give him some brief about some background of what is exactly happening. Then try to relate to some emotional stories. Ask the user to share some stories or experiences that they have related to that particular problem. And ask them, okay, if you were to solve this problem, what do you think you would have done, right? If you were this, what would you would have done? And that is the final thing. So icebreakers, grand tour, give them a walkthrough of the entire thing. Break the ice first, because you are somebody who is new, you don't know them. Break the ice, talk to them, converse with them properly. Grand tour, give them a walkthrough of the entire thing. Dig deeper, ask them to share some stories which are related to that problem, experiences. Ask them to share any experience they have. And then if ask them, if you were to solve this, how would you have solved it? You will get the needs from that particular point. So prepare yourself a guide like this. It will help you kind of ask questions much easier. So icebreakers is basically that: warm up the conversation, break the ice between the people, try to relate to them, and get into the conversation and try to break open to their mindset. Give them a walkthrough of the entire thing. Dig deeper, ask them more questions through which you can actually get into their emotions, and then probably ask them what would they do if they were to solve this problem. uh, there are some quick tips. Now I will stop my screen sharing, and this is the time where we actually do the exercise, right? Somebody can repeat the problem statement what I mentioned. What is the problem statement that we are all working upon?
Maintenance of oral hygiene through ventilator mask.
Okay, thank you so much, Devi. Appropriately said. So that's the problem statement that each one of us are working upon. Now, what we'll do is each one of you rename yourselves according to your this thing. Of course, keep your names and write ENGG for engineering, whoever is from engineering backgrounds, and MED for whoever is from medical backgrounds. Okay, just rename yourself. It will help us to put you in appropriate breakout rooms. Pranava, are you there? Now, given the situations, आप लोग हॉस्पिटल तो जा नहीं सकते आईसीयू में वेंटिलेटर देखने के लिए. Am I right? So the problem statement is like that, that you need to understand that very well. So the bonus point is, engineering guys, you have medical students over here who know the ins and outs of a hospital, ICUs, ventilators, what exactly happens, right? All these fellows are posted in the clinical postings, and they see these things day in and day out. So at least to an extent, they know what exactly happens in that particular area, and they can exactly share what is the problem. So medical students have seen things, engineering students haven't seen anything. Or maybe they might have seen something through in movies or in pictures or anything like that. But you'll be basically getting a picture of it. Unfortunately, this is a this thing online workshop. We have to plan with whatever we have existingly. Otherwise, if this was offline, we would have been doing it in JJ hospital. I would have actually sent you to the wards and to actually have through the understanding of a ventilator. Maybe we would have got a ventilator to actually see what exactly it is, how does it look, and what exactly it feels when the patient is wearing that mask. Okay, so I hope you're clear now what exactly you need to do. You need to prepare your interview guide. Okay, Now, what I would request over here is the engineering guys interview the medical students.
Is the problem statement restricted to ventilators? Because the same situation is there with face masks too. Hello?
No, but face mask is when you wear it outside, right? When you come back, you remove it. You can still maintain your oral hygiene then, right? By washing your mouth and all those things.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
This is for patients who are admitted in hospital, who are on ventilator, oxygen levels are really down. How do you actually tackle that situation?
Yeah, thank you.
So I wanted to ask that. So it's basically about the BiPAP mask, where the person is like taking like a positive pressure, and he cannot like remove the mask to brush or like do gargles, etc. Am
Exactly.
I right? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
See, I told you how medical students can add perspectives to this. So that's why it's very, very important. Okay, so now we'll go to three insights from three breakout rooms, three teams maybe. So how do we go about? Pranava, can you just randomly pick out three people? Just
Yes.
they can speak out their insights. What was the empathy interview about? What did they understand? I request the engineering student to answer. I think the medical student already gave this thing. Let the
Okay,
engineering student who conducted the interview answer.
so can we have Apurva from group 4?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. So, I and Tanuja were kind of understanding this scenario during application of the mask. So, firstly, we ask like for how many long hours or how long the masks are applied on the patient. So, we got an answer from Dinesh and Kirti. So they said that depending upon the different stages of patients, we have like continuous time having like 24 hours to almost days to months. The ventilator should be put on, and they can't even what do we say drink or eat during that time. So the food that is injected is through the IV pump, the intravenously. So we can't even do that, and we and if even if they want to they are in a condition to eat or drink something, they have to remove the ventilator mask, eat one bite, and then again put on the ventilator mask, take some oxygen, and the next bite. So it's kind of a very complicated scenario, and I must say that is a very major issue that has been given to us, like addressed. So yes, and Tanuja, my teammate, she also asked about the patients can gargle or not. So even that is not possible. So like we were checking on the scenarios, what things are possible and what not. Yeah, so that's it.
Great. Nice insights, Apurva. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, can we have someone from group 8, the engineer? I think.
Okay, yeah, so Gauri here. Yeah, so actually the time was not sufficient for us to come up with a lot of things, but we did discuss about the ventilator filters, the masking tapes, and oral candidates, and what else did we discuss? Yeah, the steroids, which can be antifungal drugs, which can be given to the patients. So these were the insights from my group. Anyone from group 8 wants to add to this, like the masking tape point and the antifungal drugs part?
Like as it was mentioned by the previous group, that the taking off the mask is not really an option, and we were just trying to think of what could be done and how, like thinking about oral hygiene, oral candidiasis, it's an opportunistic infection because the patient is already on steroids and continuous mask, no hygiene. So we thought a little from the pharmaceutical point of view, but something different, non-pharmacological, it would require a lot more thinking. So yes.
I think so Arpit from group 1 can have some views on the pressure ulcers.
Yeah,
Arpit?
so Yes. So actually, we had Ramil and Pranava in our group, and they touched upon like these masks do not take into account the anatomy of the face. So like sometimes the mask might not completely fit, and there might be few orifices which might be left open. So those might be like few entry points for contamination. So we decided that like if we could come up with some novel materials which are moldable, or which can be like on the go, it can be adjusted to the face of the patient, so that will actually help us in cutting down those entry points for contamination. And also because they are used for prolonged periods, and they are very tightly wrapped to the face of the patient, so that actually creates some unnecessary pressure points. So there also we tried that if we could come up with some like non brute force, or some material which are very softer in nature. And also we like try to touch upon like if we can inject some steam or some kind of things which do not affect the patient body, but they kill the virus if any contamination happen. So that also we touched upon briefly. Thank you.
So another point to add to Arpit was because of the pressure ulcers, maybe if we can use some lubricant or some bandages on top of it to make the mask airtight, and something mainly to reduce the dryness of the oral mucosa, which can lead to different infections. And also in some patients the braces are not removed, and which can be a source of infection, or the beard is not completely shaven, so even those things lead to infections. Anyone from group 6? Yes, Anvi.
Yeah, so Aditya and I were talking about the medical aspect of it. So we were wondering that what happens is that there is the environment is a little moist, which is why it's a breeding ground for fungus and bacteria. So our suggestion was having some sort of appendage to an already existing face mask, which would sort of work on the principle of an automated room freshener. So it would intermittently give out a very mild dose of, say, an antifungal or an antibiotic. And this would be like a prophylactic measure to prevent growth of fungus or bacteria. So when it comes to this, we don't think every patient needs it, or rather, there are some people who are more susceptible. So patients who are immunocompromised, or patients who will be on a ventilator for a long time.
Like basically people who have a longer duration of stay. Like we can
Exactly.
categorize which people need this, and also we have research. We must be having researches and data available, like which are the common infections, and based
Common.
on that we can already decide which medicine should we need to administer in that appendage, that room freshener kind of thing, which can be kind of a metered dose inhaler kind of a design integrated into a face mask as an appendage. So that's basically our suggestion.
Thank you so much, guys, for the wonderful insights. This was really, really great to hear many such this thing. So one thing I just noticed is everybody is trying to give solutions to the problem. The solutions is the third stage, ideate, where we actually give ideas to solve the problem. Now here is to understand the pain points, right? So I can maybe count out the pain points, like the mask is not airtight. There are open airway pathways where infection can be easily spread. Masks are too tight on the face; they create a scratch or an impression on the face. It's like quite difficult. Regarding one of them, who said that when they have to eat food, also they have to open the mask, take a bite, again put the mask on, right? And these kind of situations happen. So these are what exactly which brings in empathy wala situation, understanding what the user goes through when these kind of things, like when the mask is worn, right? Many people started giving solutions right away. I would request you to hold your excitement for some time, because the solutions part is in the ideation phase, where you actually give start giving solutions, because right now when you start giving solutions, you become biased towards those things. So let's try to follow the process, let's try to understand the entire thing, and then let's get into the solution part of it. Okay, yes, you have a question.
Yes, so actually, looking at this only, actually, first I didn't realize that ventilator mask is the one that you have when you're non-ventilator. So we had a little time understanding that. So at that point, I realized one thing, that if the patient is on ventilator, right? So even at that point, the patient is at last stage that where he or she cannot completely breathe. Then most probably the patient will already be in a state where he or she is not conscious of what's happening around, maybe. I have not seen a patient on ventilator, so I don't know much. But at that point, so it's not the patient who can answer our questions we have about the problems to what he or she has. It must be the doctors and hospital staff. So thinking about the interview, I realized this first, that we should actually ask the hospital and doctor staff that what can be the questions and what can be the problems they might be facing, because no one knows what is going on with the patient, as he or she is not aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
So that is
great.
Maybe even the caregivers can highlight or try to help and understand what is the situation.
Yeah, Devi, you had a question. Yeah.
Can I add a small thing? So I heard some people talking about administering antibiotics and antifungals to these numbers. But the question which popped in my mind is, how do you know how much to administer a drug? Because as we know, antimicrobial resistance is a very big topic nowadays. And so I'm talking in a completely engineering point of view, of course, do not know the specifics. But if you do not give the if you do not administer the proper amount of drug to that particular patient, that patient could be subject to antimicrobial resistance. So we need to also, I think you should also keep in mind that we should also have some sort of sensing mechanism, which will give us what is the amount of infection, oral infection. Is it this much, is it that much? And appropriately, you can do the other things like, I'm not telling the idea, I'm just saying the, problem statement, just branching out a little more, that antimicrobial resistance and administering the right amount of drug is also a problem right now to fight this oral infections. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I guess, I was also thinking what rightly he also mentioned, Chirag mentioned regarding administering drugs, whether it is pharmaceutical point of view, maintaining hygiene, or whether it is non-pharmaceutical methods. Yeah, but yeah, it can be open. I'm not giving any answers or solutions. Even I also don't know the answer for this. There can be multiple ways of looking about it. I may have 10 ideas. You all may have 100 other ideas. But idea phases in the ideation time, not now. But now it's trying to understand the pain point and understand what exactly is the problem that is happening, understanding it through the user. That's the empathy phase. Okay. Now let's jump into, if everybody's clear, we'll now jump into the next phase, the second stage of the problem, the second stage of design thinking. Can you all give me a thumbs up? Okay, great. Thank you so much. Now let's enter the second stage of the design thinking framework. This is defining your problem. Now, exactly, you have done interviews, you have empathized with your user, you understand the pains of what exactly is happening on the user's end, you understand there is a problem, you need to solve it. And this is where you actually define what exactly is the problem. Now, in this insights, whatever you have mentioned in empathy phase, many people gave different ways of kinds of problems which exist in the entire this thing, right? But now it is the time where you actually kind of bring things together, sum it up, and make a definition of your problem. Make a proper problem statement. And how? Before getting into that, there is this particular phase where we actually chart out few stuff before making out the entire problem statement. There's something known as stakeholder mapping. Stakeholders are basically the people who are involved in the entire problem, right? So like some people said patients, some people said caregivers. So patients will be the core, the yellow color circle. If you see, that's the core. You're designing this entire thing for your patient, right? Maintaining oral hygiene for ventilators, right? So people who are on ventilators, you're designing this for people. You're designing this for people and not for the ventilator. Okay, making that very clear. Now, the core of your entire problem, right? As we said, it is human centric. So your core person you're solving, this user, is for the patient, and your patient is at the center. Now, other than your patient, there would be some side people associated: nurses, doctors, right? Nurses, doctors, caregivers, patient caregivers, all these patient relatives, and all these people would be little bit in the next circle, the red region, the circle where all these things happen. The third region is the direct stakeholders who are also involved along with it. So the hospital staff, the hospital administration, the engineering staff. Indirect stakeholders are also there. The supply chain distribution, who's giving the ventilator, who's making those masks, who's manufacturing them, who's giving it to them, who's administering them. How does the mask disposal happen later on? How does the mask get sterilized? Whether it's directly sterilized or not. If it's a disposable mask, all these things have to be taken care. So that's the indirect stakeholders in the larger circle, the larger picture. So what you need to do is, who are all the people who are involved in this entire process? You need to list them down, and that's known as stakeholder mapping. Everyone in this particular process come together as stakeholders, and everybody has an important role to perform in this entire problem statement. Agree or not agree with me? Can you agree to me, guys? If you can just unmute yourself, because I can't see the chats.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Exactly. So, this is where exactly what happens is, you can understand who are all the people who are involved, and who is my main user, or who's the problem, who am I solving this for. Okay, so this is something which you can start listing down. The second is, now you've done interviews, right? Now try to see how you can summarize your interviews. Okay, so this is a framework that is given for summarizing your interviews. This is known as a synthesis framework for empathy. This is empathy mapping. It's called empathy mapping, where you actually put your observations and inferences from the interview in this map, right? So you need to talk about things, what the user said. You interviewed somebody, they said certain things, they did certain things, and these are things which you can see directly, you can observe them doing it, right? That's why I told you, right, keep your cameras on, so that when you're interviewing, you can understand not just the verbal communications, even the non-verbal things can be really seen. So uh, so say, do, right? Observe what the patient is saying, what the person is saying whom you have interviewed, and what have they done, right? You also infer from that what are they thinking from what they said. When they're saying something, they're thinking something, and they're feeling something, because of which you can actually infer, okay, this is what they understand, and from that you say this is what they feel, right? The person who I interviewed feels about it. Okay, so I'll give you 2 minutes time to make this chart on your own books and summarize your interviews. You've written insights from your teammates. So write down your observations and your inferences in this particular format. Now let's get on to the next step. Um, we have summarized our interviews now. We have made an empathy map, in which we have written our observations and inferences based upon say, think, do, feel. And now we'll get on to the next step. This is something known as user personas. Okay, so once you, like, of course, on a bigger picture, when you actually go down to the ground and interview a lot of people, right? Now, as of now, with the limited space we have and the resources we have, we interviewed few of you, right? So we interviewed medical students. Now we need to understand, as somebody rightly said, I think so somebody said, yeah, that you need to involve administration, the nurses, the hospitals, the doctors themselves also, right? They need to give us certain things about what exactly happens in the entire situation. So when you actually go on to a bigger scale, you actually start meeting a lot of people and understanding the situation from their side, expanding these things more. You then make these interview synthesizing statements, your observations, your inferences, and through those observations, inferences, you make something known as a user persona. User persona looks very similar to a resume. It's not a resume basically. It's basically talking to a user. So because we said it's user centric, You talk about the user, you talk about the person, and you talk about their behavior, the demographics, what are the needs and goals they need, what are the things that they want, right? What is the details of them? Like if you can see on the right side, Mary is a person, so sketch some random this thing. Mary is a person, she's a working mom, 34 years old, lives in Reading, works in London, she is married with two kids. She has an household expenses about 125K per year, and expenses and income, whatever you call it. Then what are her behaviors? She has a house cleaner. It's a different problem statement, of course, but how can you create this for your own user, right? If you're interviewing a patient or somebody and understanding it from their side, how can you create this for your own user? This is the format which I've given. It's a standard format. So it's a user persona. You create it, you understand the entire thing, and this is something which will help you in the further steps to come. Okay, thank you so much. I guess everybody's made a user persona now. Yes, more exercises to come. Now, since you've made your user personas, you understand the needs and goals of what the user wants, what the user needs, what the user is basically requiring, what's the problem about. This is something known as point of view statements. Point of view statements में चार ऐसे statements आप बता देते हो from the entire interview, all summing up entirely thing. आप चार ऐसे statements बता देते हो जिसमें उनको समझ में आ जाता है कि yes, I understand, I met this person, I was surprised to realize this kind of a thing happened, and I wonder if this is what they meant by saying it. This is the problem that they mentioned, and in the last you say it seems that this he or she person needs this dash, right? Now this is point of view statements you have done. You have given the point of view from the user. You met the person, based upon their points you have written down these four statements. You understood what exactly the person, he or she needs, through the entire process, to the entire this thing. And now comes how might we statements. How might we statements are basically termed as actionable statements, right? So basically मैंने आपको एक problem दिया था, maintenance of oral hygiene uh, through ventilators, through ventilator masks, right? So that was just a statement. But now we are going down, we're digging deep, we're refining things to much, much better in such a way that we can understand what is an actionable insight. Now, whatever I said, maintenance of oral hygiene through ventilator mask, it doesn't make any sense, right? It doesn't make any actionable insight sense. It just says you need to maintain oral hygiene. It never talks about how we can exactly do it, right? So you need to basically now start putting down into your based off your point of view statements, your user personas, your stakeholder mapping, your empathy mapping. Through all those things, you now need to put them into a statement in such a way which will start giving you actionable insights, right? So how might we is defined in that. How is the entire possibility of the thing. Might, when we say might, means that it doesn't mean that there's only one possibility. As I mentioned before, there is not one answer to a solution, right? There's not one answer to the problem. There may be multiple problems. So how might we, right? And we is when you're talking about the person who is solving the problem for the user, right? So how might we, if I'm breaking down these three words into things, how is the action which you're talking about? Might is means you're saying there can be more than one solution to the problem, and we means it's basically you who are designing for the person. Okay, so how might we statements kaise hona chahiye? Give a complete brief of actionable insights. It gives you the entire actionable insights ka brief, and it don't make very big statements, bada statements nahi. Keep it very small, simple, so if I were to put it, for example, how might we create a system through which there can be maintenance of oral hygiene for patients associated with diseases related to respiratory disorders who are on ventilators, in order to avoid infections. If you're getting my point, and this is what I'm just trying to make it, you can also think more about it. Don't just copy what I said. think about it, because this is a workshop where you need to think a lot and then make insights upon it. It's not just about what is over there. Yeah, one thing just I wanted to make a warning. Of course, now we have already written POVs, point of view statements, right? So use those statements to put them as these insights. And one thing just as a warning, आपको solution जो देना है, don't bake that into a how might we statement. That should never be that, because again it will be a bias. Again you'll be eliminating the possibility of might. Okay? So don't bake your solution into the how might we statement.
Sir, so I had a query on this.
Yeah.
As we do not have to put the solution into this, so what exactly can we put in the action blank?
Basically, you're redefining the entire problem statement into a how might we statement, which will help you understand what exactly you need to solve, right? Now, what happened in the empathy stage, many people went towards, going to looking for infections and solving infection related issues and all those things. Now, if you understand the statement a little more, break it down more. I said how to maintain hygiene. That means the patient is already clean, and we are just trying to keep things in such a way that hygiene is there. So now you saw how I narrowed down the entire thing. Now I'm not talking about that already there's an infection and how do you solve it. That is something which medical fraternity should answer. We as innovators, we need to see how we can prevent things from happening, right? So you got my point. Now how might we create a system in which oral hygiene can be maintained?
Okay, got it.
Got it?
Right. So it is
I think I gave the answer.
overview. Yeah. But I was almost on the right track. So I was thinking how without putting the solution, we can answer the what and the action question, because I think we directly it's easy to jump to the solution for that.
Correct. So it's रहता है easily, like especially whenever you listen to a अच्छा इसके लिए solution दे देते ये solution वो solution. So many times we have that craving, but design thinking gives us that patience to say no, first understand the problem ka in and out, and then give a possibility, make a statement properly, give more possibilities of ideas, and out of those possibilities pick up one which is most actionable and feasible for you. That is where design thinking plays an important role. So it doesn't allow you to tackle one problem just for one perspective. It gives you an overall perspective of the problem, and then you can actually solve it.
So to give you the example of the traffic police video, the one which was shared. So your how might we should not be how might we develop a traffic signal with the sensor in place. That is not the how might we. The how might we is how might we reduce the noise pollution while penalizing people who honk more, or while punishing people who honk more, something like that. So you go deeper into the problem, like where the problem lies, rather than what you want to do. What you want to do is a later stage, but what the problem is your how might we. And this is very important for all your later stages. So if you define your problem as putting something into the traffic signal, then you will not have any other ideas that they showed in the video, but then you will not have any other ideas. You'll just think, what should I put in the traffic signal?
So you see, design is not just only about technical problem solving. It's about English language, improving your English in such a way to understand the depth of it, because you can't just take a statement and just read it randomly. You need to understand every word of the statement, like how I synthesized maintenance of oral hygiene. That means I'm talking about patients who already are on ventilator, who haven't been infected, but you're just maintaining oral hygiene. So we have finally completed. Everybody has their own how might we statements. All the teams, please make the note of this how might we statements for your respective teams members together. Yeah. I'll just quickly run through the theoretical aspects of what exactly is ideation, and then we can get into the activity. Everybody can then get together for the ideation part. We'll quickly go through the how might we statement and the point of view statement. As exactly you mentioned, it is point of view statement as these 4 statements which you need to write down based upon the interviews you took. How might we statements are the statements which are actionable, It talks about what exactly is the action. It talks about the stakeholder, the user you're making for, and what exact change are you going to do. So it talks about these 4 points. You need to talk about actionable insights. Okay? So this is how might we statements. Now let's come to the ideation phase, the third stage of the design thinking process. So ideation, the word itself suggests idea, right? Idea, the process of giving ideas is known as ideation, or ideate is basically you the so ideation, as I mentioned, ideation is basically the process where you give ideas, you spill out your ideas. This is the entire thing which everybody was waiting for. Everybody was talking about different ideas. They were proposing solutions. They were now. This is where you actually start solving the problem. Till now, it was more research. Till before empathy and definition, it's more research of the entire statement. Research in terms of primary and secondary insights, and all those insights collection, data analysis, statistical data, getting them together, understanding the ins and outs of a problem, and understanding the entire problem throughout the entire thing. This is the point where you actually start now providing solutions, the ideation phase, right? So the word itself suggests ideate, right? So ideate basically talks about, you know multiple ways of going about the problem statement and solving them. Okay, so just a quick tips about it. Now it's the time to fill your cells with the creative juices. Bring out those juices to now speak things. Bring your ideas out of the box. Let you be completely imaginative. Don't put restraints on yourselves. Use the point of view statements, the how might we statement, on how you can exactly solve this particular problem. Okay, multiple things. Now you will propose multiple ideas at this point of time, right? Propose ideas. This is the way I'm going to solve it. This is the way I'm going to look at this things. And what happens is multiple ideas जब साथ में आते हैं, confusions बढ़ना शुरू होता है. तो इससे अच्छा what you do is have one conversation at one time. So everybody don't try to speak together. Everybody don't try to just put ideas, like don't try to just flood it, but एक एक idea लो, समझो उसको अच्छे से, इसका solution. Don't think about its feasibility now. Again, I'm talking about, this is really important. Don't wonder about its feasibility now. Okay, talk about things which can be very crazy, very innovative. Okay, think very crazy over here. Don't worry about the feasibility, whether it's possible or not. Many times the human mind, we have that nature, whenever things come in, these ideas, when यार ये possible नहीं हो पाएगा, no, maybe नहीं, this is not so worth enough, and all those things. Feasibility is never the thing which you should talk in the ideation phase, because you're killing creativity there. You're not allowing opportunity for more ideas to come in this particular space. Therefore ideation के space में you have to give as much as possible ideas, but take one idea, look at it properly, and then move on to the next. एक idea do, and make a list of all these ideas. So if you all of you, I've given you the Miro board link, right? So you should actually log into these Miro boards, and collaboratively you can actually sit together and make these ideas. So as of now, during the workshop time, what you can do is you can sit together and write it on your notebooks, so that you can make these ideas, whatever ideas you're planning to solve. And once we leave today for the day, and we'll meet tomorrow, so by the time you have time, so consider at it as that your homeworks. You can go to your Miro boards and put sticky notes. So I guess everybody might have sticky notes with you. On Miro boards, you can make digital sticky notes. So everybody in the team can actually be on the same page, and you can put your team's this thing, your sticky notes over there. So on that particular thing, and even on in your physical space also, you can use sticky notes and put them on a chart paper for your ideas, right? Yeah, be visual, be imaginative, focus on the needs and fulfill the purpose of problem solving. Don't be judgmental on feasibility, etc. Feasibility, viability, probability. Remove all those abilities. Think about what kind of ways can you solve the problem. Think about even ways how I can eliminate the ventilator mask itself. Still oxygen can go, still the patient can breathe, should be able to breathe through mechanical help. But how if I can redesign the ventilator mask? How can I change the ventilator mask itself? Is the ventilator mask required so much? These kind of questions you need to ask amongst your each self. This is what is known as brainstorming sessions. You should have time based brainstorming sessions, and these crazy ideas can actually lead you to good ideation tips. Okay, now since we have sort of done with a certain start point of the ideation phase, everybody started to propose various ideas, trying to think various ways to solve this. How can we think about it? Somebody is looking at the pharmaceutical approach, somebody is saying no, we'll think about this way, we'll solve this way, that way, figuring out, no problem. So see, this is what exactly what ideation phase also takes to. You can't solve problems within the snap of your fingers. You need to do a good amount of this thing. Ideation में भी आप hypothesis देते हो अलग-अलग ways में, but there are ways to then figure out the things ahead, which will be discussed tomorrow in the next part of the design thinking phase, right? So I'm just making one thing clear. Uh, you know, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, full screen दिख रहा ना?
Yes.
Yeah. So now what happens is basically ideation phase में ये ideas जब देते रहते हैं, we propose a lot of hypothesis. Unless and until we do some kind of a physical testing, we can't really prove it. And medical devices में it becomes much more critical than even other stuff. If I'm designing a earphone, I can quickly give it to you and just make a small test of a earphone and then show it to you. So earphones design karna easy hai, but when you're designing something for medical devices, it becomes much more essential to test it, because we are not here to we can't compromise with the lives of the patients. So therefore a lot of things comes over here, and these things will be basically talking in the prototyping and testing stage, right? And once your prototyping testing stage have proven its results, then how do you pitch this to your customers, you pitch this to your investors, pitch this to your first hand people? All those things we'll be covering this tomorrow. Then there'll be some take home activity right now. So I think, yes, all of you now know your teams. I think Pranava has also shared the Excel sheet on the group, the snapshot of the same thing. So everybody knows your teams. So you can now take a activity, now sit together, brainstorm on different ideas, and see what kind of possibilities can you sketch. Now you have tomorrow ka time. Before we start the prototyping stage, I want you to be ready with all these things, the prerequisites. Okay, so basically you need to have idea ka statements and sketches of what possibilities you're thinking about, what you are thinking about. Okay, but ideation में, as I told you, the feasibility जो आता है ना immediately, अरे ये possible होगा क्या? Am I thinking too much of a high funda level? Don't think about those things right now. Ideation का वही होता है, before going to the prototyping phase, you propose a lot of ideas, and then make a pros and cons for each and every idea, then talk about its feasibility. Once you're done with the list, when you've made a lot of ideas, sometimes people have sprints of ideation sprints in such a way that they have, like, within 5 minutes give 50 ideas, like that. So once those kind of things are done, you actually come out with a this thing, you come out with a lot of filtering out those ideas. So वहां पर आपका filter लग जाता है, possibility, feasibility, viability, what is the limitations of the team, what is the expertise of the team, what is possible in this limited time space given resources you have. Based upon that, how much can you actually develop? All those things then start to come after your ideation stage. So that's your bridge between ideation and prototyping. And then prototyping may, then you start making design criterias. What basis of how should I design this, how should it look, how should it use. And then of course multiple iterations here and there, you basically do that. So all these things tomorrow we'll be discussing in detail, and of course you'll be given a slot to prototype stuff, and you'll be actually making things and then seeing how it works. Okay, so this is your schedule for tomorrow, what exactly we'll be doing tomorrow. Yeah, so my job as a facilitator over here is to introduce you to the process of design thinking. This is more of a sample which I'm giving it to you. Tomorrow also we'll be doing little more details, you'll be understanding. Now design thinking as a course, there are people who are doing PhDs and even masters in design thinking. people are doing 4 years ka courses on this, right? So there are all these product design courses. These are all very, very detailed. What I'm speaking to is very, very concise information on the basic surface level to understand everything, all the process ka stages. But yeah, it's very difficult to give you 4 years ka knowledge or 6 years ka knowledge in 2 days. So whatever is possible, I'm just trying to concise things. This is basically to enable you or kickstart the entire design thinking.
So what I was trying to do as
design thinking
is basically giving you a kind of a
understanding of what exactly can be done within the limited time, space, and resources.